Hello, and welcome back to Java Lessons with Evan. I'm your host, Evan Ganjwar, and this week we'll be looking at a new structure, if you will. It's called the random class, or I guess it'd be called a new class. Sorry. So up front, up top, on top, for those of you who are listening on the podcast, you want to go import. So you're just typing this at the top of the code and then hit a space and then java.util. When I say dot, that's like a period. Util, util dot random with a capital R, and everything else has been lowercase so far. And then we end that with our good programming practice of a semicolon. Um, and then we have our usual setup here, public class test on the next line, with spaces in between those words, and then an open curly bracket, and then the classic public static void main, all with spaces in between them, open parenthesis, string with a capital S, um, square brackets with nothing inside them, space, args, args, um, then close the parenthesis, and then open curly bracket. That's just the same for all Java programs. And then for those of you listening, I've got some junk here that we don't want. Um, so those on the YouTube channel. If you just Google Evan Ganjwar, you'll find my YouTube. But basically, I'm just clearing out everything in between the curly brackets inside public static void main. And like with Scanner, if you watch that one um, or listen to it, then we need to declare a new random number generator. So we're going to say random Randy. It's random with a capital R space Randy. You can call it whatever you want. I'm calling it Randy. Equal sign new lowercase space random with a capital R, and then open parenthesis, close parenthesis with nothing inside them, and then a semicolon. We'll go down to a new line. We're going to declare a float. We're going to call our float Randall, like from Monsters Inc. I like that movie. Since he's a little more complicated, we'll give him the float. And then the integer, since that's a little less complicated, we'll call that Mike. So int space Mike. And above that, we have float space Randall, and then ending both lines with the semicolon in good programming practice. So we're going to say here that Mike is equal to Randy, our random number generator, dot next int, which is next all lowercase, capital I, lowercase nt, open close parenthesis with nothing inside them, semicolon, and then we will system dot out dot print ln Mike to show you kind of what we get from that. Um, and I'll review kind of exactly and explain a little more later. But then for the next um, line beneath the print statement, we're going to say Mike. Oops, I typed the W like Mike Wazowski. Mike is equal to Randy dot next int, except this time we're going to put a 10 in there. So the first one, I guess I'll explain it now. First one will return a random integer. This one will return a random integer somewhere from 0 to 9. So if you wanted to pick from 1 to 10, you would set it up like this, and then you would just add 1 to the result. So system dot out dot print ln Mike, and then just for the sake of example, we'll say Mike equals Mike plus 1. And we'll system dot out dot print ln Mike again. Just to show that it'll give you 1 to 10. And you can also subtract to get negative numbers, but I just kind of want to show, let's do a Randall. So Randall is equal to Randy dot next float. So what that does is gives you a random decimal between 0 and 1. And then you can multiply it, like if you want it to be from 0 to 5, you would just multiply the result times 5. And then you could convert it to an integer by putting integer in parentheses next to it. So I guess just for the sake of demonstration, yeah, let's print it out twice just to show you kind of what I mean. I'm not going to do the multiplication because I think that is self-explanatory, but if you have a question about that, let me know. But I'm just printing out Randall, and then I'm going to create another print statement where I print out Randall converted to an integer. So we're going to have int and Randall. So the int is in parentheses, it's closing parentheses, right next to Randall. So if you go over to the YouTube, you can see this. But I think that is all I have to show you today. So we'll build it, compile it. Hopefully we don't get any errors. We don't. And then we can go ahead and run it. And then I can kind of explain the output real quick. So the first one is just a random integer where it's just huge. And then the next one is a random integer between 0 and 9. And then the next one, here we got 8. So if you want it to be between 1 and 10, that would be a 9. And then our floating point returned to 0.49, which does round down to 0. And if we try running it again, should get a totally different result. So we get a huge negative integer, 4, which then goes to 5 when you go between 0 and 10. And then 0.44 again. I want to try to get it where it rounds up to 1. So I'm going to keep trying here for a little bit. Oh, it didn't round. Maybe it truncates, it doesn't round. Okay, I could be wrong about that. Let's see if we do int Randall. I said I wasn't going to do this, but let's just do it for the heck of it. Just to see what happens here. I'm going to compile, I think it should be okay. And then run int Randall times 5. For some reason it's not working. Int Randall. Oh, unless it rounds it down. Hold on. Let me put Randall times 5 in parentheses. And that'll probably fix it. So that's just a roundabout way of showing you kind of how it rounds. There we go, it rounded it to 1. Yeah, so it must round down. Anyway, appreciate you watching. Let me know your feedback. Hope you learned something. That's the main thing. And hopefully we'll have another lesson for you soon. Thank you again.